Session, for the record, the time is 7:03 p.m. While in executive session, no final action, final decisions, or final votes were taken. At this time, I'm going to call on Jackie Roddick to lead us in our pledges.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for your amazing power and for being with us tonight. Thank you for your goodness and the blessings that you bestowed on our district. Thank you for the hope that you bring us, even in the toughest of times. Thank you, Lord, for always being with us, not just tonight, but all the time. Please continue to renew our spirits and fill us with your peace and joy. We ask these things in your name. Amen. On behalf of the entire Mineola Board of Trustees and our Superintendent, I want to welcome each of you tonight, especially any visitors, a lot of visitors. Thanks for joining us. Okay, item E on the agenda is the Superintendent update. Mr. Mize.
Mr. President, members of the board, guests that are here tonight, 1 year ago today, spring break had been extended for 1 week. Our district leadership was scrambling to set up food service, technology, continued instructional support services for the unknown that laid in front of us. And then 1 year ago from this Friday, Governor Abbott ordered a closure to Texas public schools until April the 3rd. History would tell us that we never reopened and we were closed for the rest of the academic year. And I'm very happy to report to you tonight that if you fast forward 1 year from that time period to tonight, we're gathered here in person this evening. Since the beginning of this year, 98% of our kids have been present on our campuses for academic instruction. We've held our normal school year activities and never once closed the doors at Mineola ISD throughout this pandemic. All of this is a testimony to the desire and dedication of our teachers, administrators, and support staff during a challenging time. At the end of last week, I, along with several of our staff members, had the opportunity to take the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine through an incredible partnership with UT Health East Texas. This is the first step for many of us in hopes to end the pandemic and return to a new sense of normalcy in education. This wouldn't have been possible without pulling together the resources at the federal, state, and local levels, our local support from the Board of Trustees, to the City of Mineola, to the Commissioner's Court here in Wood County, to the Meredith Foundation, and our community in general has been overwhelming as we've started to rise above this pandemic and prepare for a brighter future for our students, our staff, and community. And I'm glad to be able to give that report 1 year from this time period last year when we were faced with so much uncertainty. District news: the timber cut is complete on our district property on 564. Weyerhaeuser, the company that cut the timber, still has some tree removal that needs to be done, but as far as the cutting, that has been completed. We do have an update to the 2021-2022 academic calendar. I know we've had several of those updates come in. TJC's back their spring break up 1 week, and so we will honor that on our academic calendar as well. In spring activities, kids are going everywhere. And so if you take a look at our sports calendars or activities, our kids are all over the place, and we're glad that we've been able to do that and compete at such a high level. So for all the kids that are in here, congratulations on all of your successes, and we're looking forward to many more of them this spring as we go into this semester even further. And that's all I have for update tonight. FFA, is Sunny here tonight, Ms. Ruffin? Sunny is not here. I know she had an event that she was going to invite us to from the FFA chapter. We'll catch her on the next meeting.
Okay, thanks. All right. Item F on the agenda is recognitions and celebrations.
Miss Sorensen.
And what's your favorite subject?
Reading.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A scientist.
Can you tell them why?
Because my mom is a scientist and she's awesome.
She does love science. A message from Sarah's first grade teacher, Mrs. Sorensen. Sarah is a delight to have on our campus, and we can all attest to that. She is a walking sunshine, which you can see from her beautiful smile all the time. Always happy, loves everyone around her, is compassionate heart, and is kind to everyone. In addition, she's a teacher's dream because she loves to learn and discover, whether that's through reading or science. Her face just glows when she is sharing something she has learned with the class, and we just cannot imagine our campus without Sarah. And her parents are here, Joseph and Deborah Armstrong. We're so glad to have you, Miss Sarah. And then this is Alex. You want to step up a little bit? Alex is a first grader in Miss Bright's class, and his parents are Alejandro and Yasmin Hernandez right over there. And when Alex grows up, what do you want to be? Did you ever think about it? But he does love science and recess, which we are all about some recess right now while the weather's nice. His teacher, Miss Bright, shared that Alex is an exceptional student. He is hardworking, kind, thoughtful, and caring, always friendly and trying to help others any way he can. He's always a leader on campus and someone you can really rely on and depend on anytime you need a leader or something done on campus. So it's my privilege to announce Sarah Armstrong and Alex Hernandez, Students of the Month.
Okay, good evening. I am so proud to bring our 5th grade Students of the Month this week. We have Mr. Beckham Boker and Miss Kelly Ramirez Rodriguez, and she is not here with us tonight, but I'm just going to read to you quickly. Miss Roberts is Kelly's homeroom teacher, and she said that Kelly is friendly, kind, and fun to be around. She is diligent in her studies, consistently working to do her best. She is extremely helpful and often volunteers to do classroom jobs that no one else in particularly likes to do. So we are so proud of Kelly. And then we have Mr. Beckham here with us tonight. Beckham's homeroom teacher is Mr. Hernandez. And he wrote that, I chose Beckham because he is polite, respectful, hardworking, and is always willing to help others in need. Beckham always has a positive attitude and doesn't let any struggles he may face academically or otherwise bring him down. He is a friend to all students and is always willing to take time to help those who may need extra help. What I appreciate about Beckham the most is that he does it without wanting attention or recognition. He actively participates in class and does a great job on his work. So we are so proud. Beckham's parents are here tonight. Coach and Coach are in here, and I know they're proud of him, and we are proud to present them both to you tonight. He's got something for you. Open up. I'll take Kelly's. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. We are presenting our 8th graders this month. I'm going to start with Hector. This is Hector Rodriguez, and Hector, his teachers have said that he's a very responsible student. He is polite and helpful to his teachers and classmates. He makes good grades, turns in assignments on time, and has a neat binder. He is a good leader. When we talked today, he said his favorite subject was math. He likes the freedom of being self-paced, but he said his teacher knows when to assist when it's needed, so he likes to do math. He wants to be an architect when he grows up. Hector's an avid student, and he appreciates the support he gets during avid tutorials, particularly with the help of his peers. And so that is Hector. And so we're very proud of Hector. This is Maya, Maya Joyner. Maya is also a very good student. Her teachers say that she's very kind to her classmates, always helpful. She's respectful to teachers and also Also helpful, she listens well in class, and she always has a smile on her face. She's just a really good leader. I know that Maya has just joined the high school cheer squad, so she's very proud of that, and we're very proud of her too. She was our cheer captain this year, and she has exemplified great leadership in that. She loves athletics and working with her coaches. She exhibits a leadership role among her teammates. Maya is also an avid student. She enjoys exploring the possibilities of colleges and careers, and Maya is interested in cosmetology or being a child therapist. And these are our students of the month, Hector Rodriguez and Maya Joyner.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Come on, high school. Can you believe high school students are shy? Unbelievable. Look at them. I've got two awesome juniors to introduce y'all today, Tristan Cheek and Presley Harris. Let me tell you a little bit about them. I asked about Tristan. Tristan's new to our district, so I had to ask some questions about him today from teachers and the like. And this is how they described him. They described him as wonderfully talented. How about that? And exceptionally well-mannered. That is neat when you're talking about a young man like that. Being a new member here, he's also a new member of our outstanding, world-renowned championship band, where he showcases his talents in the percussion section. I found out today that he follows in his father's footsteps. His dad is also an accomplished percussionist. In his free time, he enjoys listening to and playing music. I don't play it, but I listen to it every day. And he hopes to major in music and become a private instructor or possibly a percussionist technician at a high school. Tristan Cheek. The next is Presley Harris. I've known her forever, and her mom and her dad. She, when they described her, said that she's driven. Is she driven, Mom? And that she is a self-motivated student who always gives 100%. That she's a true perfectionist in the very best way. I know she's going to have a good start to the day every single morning when I watch her walk into the building with a big mason jar full of iced coffee. That starts her day right. When she doesn't have it, I know things have run late and she's not happy. She's involved in the National Honor Society. She serves as our FCCLA president, and she takes a full load of dual credit courses and is an exceptional student while doing that. She recently placed in poetry interpretation in the Lindale meet and will compete in the UIL poetry interpretation and persuasive speaking at the district UIL contest next Monday. In her free time, she loves chilling, hanging out with the family, and she told me that she wants to be like her mom. She wants to teach. Sylvia is one of the best that we have at the primary. She did say, though, she was not going to teach the little ones. She said she was going to teach Algebra 2 with me at the high school. Presley Harris, Tristan Cheek.
Thank you.
Support staff of the month. Is Miss Brandy and Christy here? Y'all come up here, ladies. I heard Mike say it best. During this pandemic, they've been our first responders during all this. And they have accepted every challenge that has come their way. In October, I don't even think I ran it past them. We had the opportunity to have COVID tests in the district, and I just thought it was a no-brainer, and we just pulled the trigger on it. Little did they know they'd be conducting all these tests, and I think they've done over 1,000 since we've implemented the program. They have been responsible for helping us make decisions on the ground to keep school open, to help kids and their families know whether they have positive COVID tests. And that's not only the only thing that they've done. I mean, they help kids day in and day out that come and see them for medication or other things, that come and pay regular office visits to them. So they have just been above and beyond this entire school year, and we couldn't do it without you. That's why we wanted to recognize you tonight as our March Support Staff Employees of the Month, Miss Christy Singleton and Brandy Davlin. Thank y'all both.
I am happy to be back again to talk about this lovely lady standing next to me, Miss Kim Witt. She is our Teacher of the Month and subsequently our Mineola Elementary School Teacher of the Year. Kim has been in the district since 2006. That's what you said. And it's been a while, hasn't it? And she's been in fifth grade specifically since 2015, and she's a master at it. Every student that is in her class has nothing but wonderful, positive things to say about what they learn and how they learn. They always get so much out of what she puts into them, and then her team also views her as such a great asset. And as a new principal, I can't look at you or I'll cry. I appreciate how much she contributes to the school community as a whole. She always goes above and beyond for every student, teacher, parent, community member. Kim is going to just be the perfect picture of what our school is, and we appreciate her and value her so much. So, congratulations to Kim Witt.
Guess we'll go ahead and recognize football. You want to do football first? Let me get the football guys up here real quick. Go ahead, come on. There's three of you. Yeah, y'all come stand right up here. Smile real big. Take that mask down real big. See your face. Appreciate the opportunity to be here, you know, and celebrate and talk about these kids a little bit. I was thinking while I was sitting over there, you know, typically after the last football game of the season as a coach, you're thinking about things for next year, and your mind kind of goes to that. And it's not too often that you're in the middle of March and you're talking about successes and individual accomplishments of kids that you've had from the previous season. So I think it's a special honor to be here and have this opportunity tonight. Here recently, the Texas Sports Writers Association released their all-state football team, which is a big one every year, and we had 4 kids selected to that team. And I believe that's the first time in school history that's happened. In fact, I'm going to say that since I don't see Jimmy P tonight, so I'm going to feel free to make some historical claims. But I think it's the first time in school history, and awful proud of that and proud of these kids. And I'm going to go through them a little bit one at a time and kind of give you some of the stats from the season. Our first team guys, the first one was Trevion Snead. He was the first team running back. His stats this year, he had 337 carries for 3,082 yards and 36 touchdowns. I had some career stats for him, too. For his career, he had 6,258 yards and 76 touchdowns, which was quite an accomplishment for the season, but a heck of an accomplishment for his career here also. So Trey was the first-team guy. The next first-team guy was Jackson Anderson, the big ugly guy standing right beside him. Jackson was first-team guard, and you know, typically when we put up kids for superlatives and for nominations, it's hard to nominate linemen sometimes because they don't have the stats. You know, they don't get the accolades and the recognition sometimes that other positions do in football. And I think it says a lot about Jackson in the fact that he's one of the guys, one of the main guys that set the tone for us offensively, especially in what we wanted to do and what we were able to do with these other two guys here. And I think that was his toughness that he brought every day. And as a team, we averaged 370 yards rushing this year, 425 total yards a game, and over 40 points a game, and he was a big part of that. And awful proud of Jackson, and he was a first-team offensive guard. I'm going to skip one and come back. I'm going to go to Dawson Pendergrass since he's standing right here. Sophomore, maybe the first time we've ever had a sophomore on the All-State team. Dawson was second-team all-purpose offense, of which he had 144 carries for 1,274 yards, 19 touchdowns. He also had 34 receptions for 579 yards and 7 touchdowns. So in all total, he had almost 2,000 yards by himself also and about 26 touchdowns. Dawson was also selected to third team as a third-team utility player on defense. He had 66 tackles for us, 7 INTs, and 3 of those were returned for touchdowns, and probably should have been one more. But quite accomplishments for these 3 guys. The fourth one that's not here tonight is Kobe Kendrick, and I know Kobe had to work. Kobe was an all-district defensive MVP this year. He was named to the second-team All-State, and Kobe played defensive end for us and had 115 tackles and 17 TFLs for it this year. And, you know, if Kobe was here, it's not about his stats, but I think it's what type of person he is. He also played on offense for us where he did a lot of blocking and a lot of that dirty stuff, kind of like Jackson did. But he's a kid that was capable of doing other things, maybe if he wasn't at Mineola, if he was somewhere else, but very unselfish in his attitude and work ethic. And I was glad to see him recognized this year, second team also. So congratulations, guys, and I think we've got some certificates for y'all. Jackson, do you want to say a few words? No? Okay. All right. Basketball guys. Let's do basketball guys now. They got time if you want. Let's go, fellas. Don't be shy. Come on. Y'all won't be the ugliest ones up here. You'll be close, though. Kind of neat when I say basketball guys and the football guys that were up here are still standing up here. I think it says a lot about our kids' involvement in our programs. And thinking about that for just a minute, on the way over here, it's 6:45, and we're supposed to start at 7 o'clock tonight. And I got a football field full of kids out there working out, running hills, flipping tires, pulling sleds, not because we asked them to, but because we've had some senior leaders here in the past that have shown that example and introduced that culture, and you get buy-in from some of these other guys. And you've seen some of that pay off now and continue to pay off in the future. Basketball this year, unbelievable season, unbelievable success for these guys. I want to go back for a minute and talk about the history just for a second because I feel like we got cut off a little bit last year, not getting come back from spring break. You know, there were some recognitions and things that we didn't get to do at that time. These guys this year won the district championship for the 3rd year in a row. They also advanced to the regional quarterfinals for the 3rd year in a row. And just to go back for a minute, when you go back to that 18-19 season, that was the first time we'd ever been to the 3rd round in school history. And now we've done that 3 consecutive years and one district 3 consecutive years. And I think one of the most impressive things is over that time, during that 3-year span, these guys have lost 2 district games in that time over 3 years. And I think it says a lot about our kids here, number one, because a lot of these kids were part of those past successes in addition to this year. But I think it says a lot about our leadership and our head coach, Ryan Stedman, his assistants, Brad Gibson, Dakota Heineman. I think it says a lot about our kids and our program in general. And proud to recognize these guys for a tremendous season, their accomplishments this year.
I'm going to say something real quick. First of all, I want to say, anytime we can recognize our student athletes, you know, I think here at Mineola we get so used to our guys working hard and our kids doing so well in all the things that they do. But anytime we get to actually come up here and get recognized, I just want to say thank you for that. I know these guys appreciate it. We were talking about it. All these guys up here, they've started since August the 1st and have had to practice every single day, and still do, playing baseball and doing track. So there's no days off. Every one of these guys played football, played basketball, and are doing something now. So the hard work, you just can't say enough about each and every one of these guys, the dedication and the hard work that they do. This team here, I always said this was going into this year, I was like, this is the most talented team we're probably ever going to have. And I felt like at times they knew it. It was sometimes the matter of keeping them focused because they knew they were fixing to go in there and slap around everybody in district. And the one time we lost, we probably weren't focused like we should have been for that one game. And we ended up taking care of them the next time. But then the memories really take place when you start to get into the playoffs, which is what I know these guys were ready for from the very beginning of the year. And I think everybody's going to remember the playoffs this year, especially the Jefferson game. But anyway, I just want to say thanks to my coaching staff, Coach Gibson, Coach Heineman, Coach Harper. They help out tremendous. Couldn't do it without them. And to you guys, man, I appreciate everything from y'all. Hard work, dedication. Gonna miss my seniors, tremendous. You know, thanks for everything. Thanks for all the support. Parents, thank you for the support.
So you got a few words? He's teasing me. No, he's not.
Okay. So we got right here, we got Dawson Pendergrass, Trevion Snead, TJ Moreland, Jackson Anderson, Connor Gibson, and Jackson Holland. The other guys, I know at 3 of them that were working that weren't able to be here. One that's stuck at home, he has no choice but to be at home for right now. Appreciate the guys who could be here. Anything else?
Thank you, guys.
All right. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you being here with us tonight to receive your awards, your appreciation, your recognitions. You're welcome to stay with us, but this is your time to get out. If you make the doors open for you. Thank you.
Make sure they sit here the whole time.
Do I? It's the annual tax report by Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott.
I can't see it.
Mr. Buell, are we okay? Okay. Do you have anything to say first?
Talking about me introducing Patrick. Patrick, our delinquent tax attorney representative. They're from Tyler. They've been with us for quite a number of years. In fact, before I was here, I think y'all were here. They give an annual report, and he's going to give that to you this year.
I can't believe I have to go after those guys, though. I mean, it's like nobody wants to hear about the lowly attorney, the tax attorney. I was a student athlete once, too, and it's a great honor, and I admire those guys a lot. But now on to the most boring subject that you'll hear about all night, which is your delinquent taxes. So I do want to just make sure before I start, did y'all get these in your packets? The charts and, okay, good, so I can not pass those out. I think that I want to start just by saying that I will keep it short, but I do have some important information to give to you tonight. Now, as you know, I've been in front of you before. I was here in July of 2020. And so where we are in the tax collection cycle this year is this is where we're at. So again, about 2% of your taxes go delinquent. Okay, so of all the tax base that you have, I deal with a very small sliver. So I just want to put it in perspective. This is not the most important, but it is a small function of your school finance. Now, if we'll go to the first page, I can illustrate a little bit of what I'm talking about. So the first page that you'll see there is this chart. This is your delinquent tax roll, this descending graph here. So again, a very small portion of what we're talking about in your entire tax roll. What you see here is a declining delinquent tax roll, and this is good. This is a very healthy roll for your school district. If for some reason I showed you this chart and it was ticking upwards, then we may want to look out for some bankruptcies, some collection matters. You know, you'd be getting on me and saying, get collections in gear. But this is a very healthy tax roll that your school district has here because it is steadily declining. We're chipping away slowly at your tax roll. Now, as I said, we're here in the tax cycle. As you know, taxes went delinquent February 1. Okay, January 31st, all taxes needed to be paid for 2020 taxes. We are going to begin collecting those taxes now, and certainly July 1. You'll see our collection activity, July 1, really start to hit home on these 2020 delinquent taxes. But until then, the information I'm going to give you tonight is just about your delinquent tax roll that includes 2019's. So what I have to tell you are not things that you don't know, right? Your tax base in Mineola pays their taxes. You have a great tax base, and your taxpayers are really doing a good job paying, even despite what we saw during COVID. And I'll be honest, in July I did mention we're likely to see delinquencies grow for the school district. But William and I were talking earlier, we're really pleasantly surprised with how the few number of delinquencies. Your tax base is paying their taxes, and they're doing a great job. That being said, of course, COVID, we're trying to be sensitive with collections, but I'll discuss that in just a second. Overall, I think it's very normal what I'm seeing in your delinquent tax roll. Let's turn now to one of three charts that we'll go over. The first chart is this pie chart, this not so fancy pie chart that I have for you. This is an account breakdown as far as the category of what we're dealing with your delinquent tax roll, this declining chart that I showed you. What you see here is a big, giant blue pie chart that says action pending. That means we are making numerous contacts with your delinquent taxpayers, whether it be through a mailing, a phone call, all kinds of ways that we can make contact with your delinquent taxpayers without filing a lawsuit. Again, it's COVID. We're certainly trying to be very sensitive of some of the hardships that your taxpayers are going through, citizens of Mineola. So we make contact in other ways, and that's why we have such a big pie chart here. We're making contact. I do want to focus your attention on one thing, and that is bankruptcies. Unfortunately, we are seeing bankruptcies tick up in the district, and that's just a product, unfortunately, of what we saw during the pandemic. Businesses started to file bankruptcy and go out of business. But rest assured, as your attorney, we are monitoring these very closely for the school district. We are making sure that on behalf of Mineola ISD, we're getting our claims filed in on all of these bankruptcy cases, and when those debtors do pay, we make sure that the school district gets paid before anybody else, including the IRS or other judgment creditors. So we're in all of these bankruptcies, and we monitor the bankruptcy court. I'm your attorney that files in the notices of appearance in bankruptcy court for you. So we are watching that. The next pie chart is a dollar breakdown, and this is important because it does show where the money is. What type of dollar amount are we looking at when we're talking about a delinquent tax account? And here you see that about half, 50%, is $2,500 up to $10,000. That's kind of the area that you're working with for a delinquent taxpayer in Mineola ISD. And that's important only to know what you could have coming in the way of delinquent tax payments. The final chart that I will show you is a tax year chart, and this shows, again, the health of your delinquent tax roll. If you'll see here, if you're looking at the chart, the 2019s are obviously the biggest, and the pie pieces get smaller the further that you go back, which does suggest that every year we collect more, and as we move away from a certain tax year, it becomes smaller because those delinquent taxpayers, the case has been settled or the taxpayer has paid the taxes. All very interesting stuff. So what I do want to also say and end is that let's not let the year get away from us this year without having an executive session. I can talk to you in some great detail about specific bankruptcy cases that are going on. I would not want to talk about them here, but in an executive session, we can talk in more detail. We can also talk in detail about delinquent tax accounts if you'd like to. And I think that there is an appropriate time and place for that. And this year, I would like to do that. At some point, come back in the fall when I give my report. After we start collecting July 1, let's talk about some specific things going on in your district. And so I do want to just bring that to your attention. We also represent your school district for the property value study, and William knows in depth what this is, but essentially we make sure that you're not losing state aid. With the appraisal district, when they appraise properties in the area, there's a property value study, there's an audit and appeal process. Make sure that we catch any aid that you may have lost. And I told William earlier, I anticipate the school district's going to do well again this year, just as you have in all the other years. Lastly, I will say this. You know, I'm invested in your school district. I love coming to Wood County. I love coming to Mineola ISD events, but you're the citizens that live here. You're the eyes and ears of what's going on. If there's something that I need to know, again, trying to be very sensitive with COVID and hardships, tell me, you know, if there's a hardship that somebody's experiencing, somebody's unable to pay their taxes, let me know, and I can handle that in an appropriate way. So I want to tell you guys that. So that's all I have today. I want to open it up for questions about your delinquent tax roll. I'm sure you have many questions, but fire away if you have any.
Waiting until fall to have the executive session with you in there?
I'm happy to do it whenever you'd like to. I was going to schedule my next report for the fall, but we don't have to wait until then. I'm happy to come back and we can go into executive session, any board meeting that you would like to.
Okay. So you get with William and William will get with Mr. Mize and
Absolutely. I think it would be very enlightening, and I think
it would help us.
Yeah, I think you guys would get a lot out of it if we talked about that, specifically some of the bankruptcy issues.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure to see you all again. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you for everything you do for us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Item H on the agenda is to consider information and action items discussed in executive session. First, we have our list of resignations.
Mr. President, members of the board, I won't go through the list, but those have been presented to you in executive session and will be supplied to the media tomorrow morning, and recommend that we approve that list of resignations from teachers.
Can we approve all four items together?
Yeah, we could.
Let's just do that.
Yeah.
All right, and we're going to wait and do one motion to accept all the recommendations that we on the different contracts. Of the professional contracts for 2021-2022.
So we have a list of our teachers that are being approved, and then also a list of administrators, assistant principals, our director of special education, Dr. Tammy Willis, at the Wood County Co-op, and recommend that we approve all of those that have been mentioned that are on our list.
I'll move.
Okay. Mrs. Campbell has moved that we accept the resignations, the professional contracts, teacher contracts for 2021-2022, professional contracts for Wood County Special Education for 2021-22, and administrator contracts for 2021-2022, as well as the resignations that were presented. Is there a second to that motion? Mr. McGow, any other discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. All right. Information, Mr. Bjork.
Jennifer, if you'll scroll down to 1070. It's hard to believe there's that many accounts, isn't there? This is where we ended up the month of February. You can see on line 1072, we ended up with $11.9 million, which is an increase of $239,000 from last month. And comparing it to this time last year, it's almost identical. We have an increase of $70,000 over this time last year. One of the things that's been mentioned about the timber that has been cut, this reflects a check we received of $310,000. We are going to deposit another check today that's going to reflect in March that was actually in the budget that we used for this year from, we do the SHARS program with our school and with the co-op. But we've been changing some things that will help us to earn more money through SHARS. So the check we received today is $294,000, which we use that to build this budget. So that's not going to be like an increase like the timber is. Do y'all see anything in there that y'all have a question about? Then that's the financial report. I know. We're probably going to start seeing some decreases as we start paying on our band fine arts project. Yeah. And y'all are going to go, oh, that's going to hurt me.
Just the regular spring and summer.
Yeah.
Expenditures.
Well, it's a different tax base and it's different money from the state, so it doesn't actually pan out the same every year. Mm-hmm. But we're doing good, I think. The tax report. Jennifer, can you scoot over to, is it going to show on the right-hand side? There you go. 92.29%. This is almost identical to this time last year. It was 92.25. Once we have the delinquents in it, it's 93.86. And like Patrick was talking about, our delinquents are up 0.6% over last year, which I was really surprised because when I had talked to Patrick whenever the school year started, I said, I'm really afraid about our tax collections this year. But they are just right on with last year, and the delinquents even a little bit better than that. So that's moving in a positive manner. Usually we try to hit 92% by the end of February when taxes become delinquent. And then we try to go percent every month after that so that we can hit at least 99% total collections. Any questions about the taxes?
Good.
What's next?
Enrollment.
Enrollment. We're doing good on enrollment. 1603 is, we're up 5 students from last month. One thing we do need to kind of work on is our attendance. You see we're at 95%. We usually like to average between 96 and 97 for the school year because I know this is a different kind of year from what we're normally used to. So we need to be thankful for the 95%, but we need to work on it too. Next are amendments. The amendments. Wait, I think that's further down the list. I think y'all's scheduled meeting dates are next. Yeah, go ahead and do them in order. I was getting ahead of everybody. Imagine that. This is the scheduled meetings for the 21-22 school year, the dates that we're projecting to have all the regular board meetings and executive sessions. Do y'all have any questions about any of those dates?
I do have one question that just popped up. If the spring break changes, that pushes it back. That would be the third week. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I think that spring break would be that'd be the second or third week in March. That would fall on our board meeting date.
No.
Y'all have a copy of
this
that?
week right now. Because we were on the
Just wanted to
second.
make sure with that change to the spring break that we could move it up.
I think the spring break would be right now, next year.
No, I think it would be still on the second full week. I think that our board meeting would be the week right after spring break.
The week right after, okay.
Because I think it was slated for the 7th, and this will push it to the 14th.
Yes, you're right.
It might make more sense to have the board meeting on the 3rd, or on the 21st, and that would give Mr. Mize and the office staff time to get things together after being gone that week on spring break. So we could postpone it a week, make it a week later that month, and give you time to get everything, all the reports and recognitions and those kind of things. Give it a little bit more time to get those in order. It'll be the end.
Because where it is right
The 21st would be the first Monday after spring break. That would be making it the last Monday in March, the 20th. I don't know if that's an issue or not. And then we come back in 3 weeks and have the April meeting. It's up to you, whether we do that or whether we leave it till Monday we come back from spring break. Or we push it back a week.
I don't get spring break, but it's what it is.
What do you think? Doesn't matter, just leave it then? Okay, we'll just leave it. Thanks. Okay, and then the scholarship trusts.
This is the time of year we talk about our scholarship trusts that we have in our possession. Now, there's actually 5 trusts right now. The Reese Trust, which is not in our possession, it's in the possession of the Bank of Texas in Fort Worth. And then there's the Hudson Trust, which is in possession of Edward D. Jones. And then there are the 3 that we have, the Wilson Trust, English Trust, and the Peacock Trust. This is the time of the year where kids, the seniors, start filling out applications for scholarships. And I get y'all to approve how much we're going to give out of the trust that we have in our possession. The request is going to be a little different this year. Historically, we've always given 10 $1,000 scholarships out of the Wilson Trust, 5 $1,000 scholarships out of the English Trust, and there's just one usually for $500 out of the Peacock Trust. It's a very small trust. We are in the process of planning a new procedure involving how we're going to do scholarships, and we're going to have this plan in place by next year for your approval. We want to do the same thing we have this year, but I wanted to give you a look at the trust we have so you can see what we've got going. Jennifer, you'll go back to the financials, and it's past the Excel page. Way past. Keep going. Okay, slow down. Now we're going there. Okay, let's go a little bit further. First one would probably be English or Wilson. Okay, there's the Wilson Trust. You can see that trust from the beginning. When we got this trust and the English Trust is actually 20 years old. The Wilson Trust is about 10 years old. The only options we had at the time were text pool, and then when Dr. Fuller was our interim about 6 years ago, is when we got involved in these trusts and starting to earn more money in them to benefit the students of Mineola. So we moved the money over to Edward D. Jones. You can see this has been about 6 years ago now. We had $435,931 in the Wilson Trust principal. There were 2 assets added that we got later from the attorneys involved in that trust, the $30,254 and the $52,000. Those 3 added together were what we started off with, and you can see as of the end of February, the trust is worth $698,000. That's an increase of $231,000 these past 6 years. Now, I think it should be the very next page, Jennifer. The English Trust. It started with Edward E. Jones the same time with $235,000. It is now $351,000. There's an increase there of $115,000 in value. Put these two together and you've got over $1 million. Well, that's why the fact that these have grown so well in our possession is why we have the opportunity next year to implement a new program that will benefit more kids in our district. So we want to go with the same as we did last year for this year, and then we'll have this new program in place hopefully by next year. Do y'all have any questions about those? I will say on the Hudson Trust, we are not the only recipient of the Hudson Trust. We receive just a part, but we usually get somewhere in the neighborhood of $21,000. In the past, they usually have broken it down to $1,000 scholarships. Now, the Reese Trust operates differently. Depends on where the student goes to school as to how much money they get. They'll pay a smaller amount that's due for TJC than they would like University of Texas. So that all depends on where you're going there. And then the one trust that we don't have, but we have a recipient of, is the Meredith Trust. Right now, we get $50,000 for 10 $5,000 scholarships. So we're going to somehow incorporate all these together to come up with a comprehensive program for our seniors. Y'all have any questions?
When will you start bringing that information to us?
Hopefully soon, because we can't wait a whole year to start on it. We've got to start now.
Kids need to know.
Yes.
Let's do it. Okay.
I think that's all y'all need for now.
Item J on the agenda is the open forum, but last I checked, no one had signed up.
Nothing, no.
No one has signed up for that. Item K, action items. Item K1 on the agenda is the consent agenda, dealing with the minutes of meetings held by the Mineola Board of Trustees, to certify the superintendent to represent Mineola ISD on the Regional Advisory Committee for 2021-2022, and approve the Lake Country Playhouse tax exemption request. For a motion? Mr. McGowan, second. Seconded by Mr. Watkins. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thanks.
In favor.
Thank you. Item K2 on the agenda is new and unfinished action items. K2A, consider, discuss, and approve the extension of the depository contract with the First National Bank of East Texas for 2021 through 2023. Is there a motion to approve that extension?
So moved.
Mr. Watkins, seconded by Mr. Dossett. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Favor.
Thank you. Review, discuss, and consider the approval of the bid for Chromebooks.
from the same company?
We bought from CDW before.
Did we include these in the Meredith request? Okay. Motion by Mr. Dawson to approve the recommendation presented by Mr. Bjork. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jill. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thanks. The approval of the amendment to the 2020-2021 budget. Exactly. Okay. Thanks. A motion to approve these amendments? Mrs. Roddick? Second by Mr. Dossett. Any other questions for Mr. Bjork? All those in favor? Thanks.
In favor.
Thank you. Approval, review, discuss, and consider approval of teacher incentive allotments.
I'm just going to give you a real quick overview of a program that was developed through House Bill 3 a couple of years ago. It's called Teacher Incentive Allotment, and we've been talking about doing this really since the beginning of the school year, but we ramped it up in January. We elected to join Cohort D, and the application to get in this program is due on April 15th. So just a little bit about the program. So basically what this House bill decided to do is try to compensate really effective teachers. So what it does, if they meet the criteria, they can earn a designation. The lowest level designation is called recognized. The mid-level is distinguished, and the highest level designation that they can receive is a master's. So each designation has a dollar amount associated with it. So in other words, if a teacher earns, you can see every school district has a set amount of money that they're eligible for under each category and each campus. And that amount is determined by the number of economically disadvantaged students that you have on that campus. So, for example, at the elementary campus, if you had a teacher that earned a recognized designation, they would get $4,496 a year added to their paycheck. If they got a master's designation, that's the big money. That's nearly $17,000 a year added to their paycheck. So it's a pretty good incentive program for teachers. And really, the idea of it was the state wants to try to get really good, effective teachers up as close to $100,000 salary as they can get them.
And these designations are good for 5 years. So once they earn it, they get that salary increase for 5 years. So in order to qualify, teachers, they do have to do some things. They have to be a certified teacher in the state of Texas. They have to have a full year of classroom teaching experience. Each district has to design their own rubric, in other words, what it takes to qualify for this designation. We determine that, but the state says we have to include 2 criteria, and they are teacher observations, and the other one is student growth data. So we have a committee. We've had several what we call stakeholder meetings within the district and the community. Our committee has opted to weight the teacher observation data at 40% and student growth data at 60%. And they opted to use our map testing to gather student growth data. So the beauty of the map testing is that it automatically, once they take that beginning of year assessment and they get a baseline, it automatically individualizes a growth goal for each student based on how they performed at the beginning of the year. So, and it's typically a percentage, I believe. So at the middle of the year, they'll take another assessment, and it'll kind of tell them how close they're getting to reaching their goals. And it'll give you specific things that they can work on. And then at the end of the year, you take the end of the year test, and it'll tell you what percentage of your students actually met those growth goals. So our rubric that we come up with will be a percentage. It'll be, say, teacher A, 55% of their students earned or met their growth goal. That's how a teacher can earn their way towards a designation. That, and in addition, their observation data. There's a point value associated with their observation data as well. So it'll take some work, and teachers really have to focus on getting those their students meeting their individual growth goals. But we've got some rock star teachers in this district who I feel like can really earn these designations and be rewarded for it. Our incentive allotment committee also, because of the logistics of including every single teacher, you'll have multiple teacher observations that they have to do in addition to collecting data throughout the school year. So the committee opted to do a phase-in year 1. We're going to do state-tested teachers plus math and reading at the primary school. In year 2, we'll add in all remaining core teachers, and then in year 3, we'll add all remaining teachers, certified teachers in the district. And that'll help us sort of acclimate to the process in that first year. Teachers will have the opportunity to opt in or opt out of the program. In other words, they don't have to do it if they don't want to. So, because it will be a little more work on the teachers if they want to be included and considered for the teacher incentive allotment. So just a little bit about timeline real quickly. April 15th is when the application is due. We've been working on this application for about 2 months. It's very detailed. We'll submit it to Region 7 first, and they'll give us some tips on how to improve the application. Then we'll send it to Texas Tech. That's who TEA is contracted with to review the applications by April 15th. So in August, at the beginning of the very next school year, this coming school year, they will let us know whether our application has been approved or not. So if our application is approved, that means we start immediately collecting data. And next year, they call it our data capture year. So all the teachers that opt in, they'll be on an observation calendar, a little bit different from the other teachers, and we'll also start collecting their student growth data. And we'll do that all year long. Then at the end of next school year, in the summer, we submit our data on those teachers who met the criterion for the rubric. They'll review it, and then the following April, so it's 2 years out, We'll receive notification of which teachers qualified, and then August of 2023 is when we'll be funded for that. So it's up to the district how we want to allocate those funds. If we want to give them, say we've got 5 teachers that qualify for the incentive allotment, the district could opt to do a big, ceremony and give them a check, or we can prorate it through the course of the year. It's what we have to decide. And where the school board comes in, the school board doesn't have to approve the application, but you do have to approve the budget and how we spend that money. So, but that's still year after next, provided we're accepted, our application's accepted. So the benefits are obvious. We have tremendous difficulty attracting teachers in our district and in all the districts in our area. Many times we'll post a teaching position and we get 0 or 1 applicants for it. So if we have teacher incentive allotment in this district, it's an incentive for teachers to come here because they can earn that. If a teacher gets it, if they earn it, they keep it for 5 years. If they leave our district, it follows them. So if we have a teacher resign, they go to work in Van ISD, that pay follows them for the remainder of that 5 years. So, and one other thing I'll add, any teacher in this district, once we're approved for teacher incentive allotment, can earn the basic allotment, which is the recognized designation, if they complete the national board certification. It's a little bit of a process. It can take 1 to 2 years to get that. But if they get that certification from the national board, they automatically earn the recognized designation and they get that pay for 5 years. So, and it's on average that recognized is between $4,000 and $5,000 a year. So it's a pretty good incentive. And I think, I feel like we need to encourage our teachers to work on that national board certification. We'll get them. It looks really good for the district. It looks really good on a teacher's resume. And it's just a good program, and they can be rewarded for it. Any questions?
So the first group that say they want to do it won't be eligible to receive any funding until for 2 years from this summer.
So yes, next year would be the data capture year. Then we submit the data at the end of next summer, a year from this summer. And then we won't actually find out until the following April who was accepted. And then it'll be funded the following August. So we're a couple of years out before the money shows up.
Right.
But we have to put a lot of things in place.
What's in the rubric besides those 2 things?
So the rubric is basically we have to decide how much weight to count on teacher observation versus student growth data. The thought of the committee was that observation data is more subjective. Student growth data, the data doesn't lie. It is what it is. So they wanted to put more weight on the student growth data than on the teacher observation data. We have to design how we're going to complete the observations. So it was decided that they would have a minimum of 2 formal observations a year by 2 different people or teams of 2 people. So they can calibrate the observations. So it wouldn't be, we want to try to remove all subjectivity if we can on those observations. Another thing it does is it really forces the teacher, if you want a really high observation, you've got to know all those criteria in that observation and figure out how can I earn this one? How can I earn this one? And going down the list. So it's really focused on teacher growth and really focusing on being the best teacher that you can be. And at the end of the day, the data doesn't lie. Either you were successful, your students meeting their growth goals, or you weren't.
Those observations, are they random, scheduled?
They're scheduled. It would be the principal and the vice principal on the campuses. Again, it's just the teachers who don't opt into it, or the teachers who aren't included in phase 1, would receive their normal observations, they wouldn't be any different.
Has this been explained to the teachers?
Yes. We had a meeting with each campus.
And then you say a committee. Who was on that committee?
Principals submitted a list of names of teachers from each campus. So we had each campus represented, plus all of the administrators from each campus.
Would there ever be a cap as to the number of teachers that received an award in a year?
No, there's no cap. I mean, anyone that meets the criteria of the rubric qualifies, but all of that data, it's got to be sent to Texas Tech, and they've got to validate all of that data. So, you know, the one good thing about using map testing is that they can pull directly from our district, so we don't have to do anything. They tie directly into our map data and pull that, and they can also pull our DMAC data for our teacher observations. So it should be a fairly easy process as far as the data, sending the data to Texas Tech.
This money flows through the district but from the state?
Mm-hmm.
All of it from the state?
Yes.
So
The state funds it, and then we...
when a teacher moves to another district, that's just state money that's falling, right?
Yes, yeah. And every district has a different allocation amount. So say that teacher moved from Mineola to Van. Van may have a different allocation amount. They could technically get a little more if they moved to Van, or a little less if they moved to a different district. Do you think of anything I've left out?
I think just big picture, number one, it keeps the district at a competitive advantage to neighbors that are going to implement this program and have the potential to draw teachers away. I think we have to do it from a competitive standpoint, and then also for our teachers that opt in. You know, if you get a boost in salary like that, there's a lot of folks that, you know, if you want that kind of salary, you got to go back and get a master's degree and become an assistant principal. Now you can be a classroom teacher and have the opportunity to earn that kind of pay. That really rewards your best teachers from thinking I have to go through the career ladder when I really love being in the classroom. So I think that's a selling point in itself, and then the retirement side of it too. I mean, if you boost, if it's good for 5 years, that's a game changer for some of our teachers when it comes to salary. If their best 5 years are maximized because they become an exceptional teacher through this program. So,
and I will say the bar is pretty high.
It is.
I mean, you've really got to achieve to get it. I would, just guessing, we might have 4 or 5 teachers in the first year that would qualify. So the state says if you earn a master's designation, you're in the top 5% of all teachers in the state of Texas. So it's kind of it's a pretty high bar.
And everybody remembers Governor Abbott's statement, we want to get teachers to $100,000. And people kind of was wondering, how in the world is that? Well, this is that process. Some of the bigger districts, you know, if you're at Barbers Hill and you're making, as a first-year teacher, $60,000, or you're a 30-year teacher at Barbers Hill and you're making $90,000, which is what their pay scale is, you do something like this, you're going to be, you could realistically make $115,000, $120,000 and be in the classroom. So.
You talked about there being a 55 and 45%, 55%, I think, on
40% observations and 60% on student growth data. 40% on teacher observation data and 60% for student growth data.
Is that a state thing?
No, we could set that.
Y'all can change, the local can change that?
Mm-hmm.
It can be...
Our committee decided they wanted to put more weight on student growth data.
Yeah. But
Then
could the difference could even be wider, that's what I'm saying?
It could.
20/80?
It could, although I asked that question and they said you're likely to be turned down if the skew is too big. They don't want one to seriously outweigh the other. And that was a state requirement.
There are 4 of us sitting in here that remember Governor White's statement way back in the day with career ladder and that extra. We got under that, and you know what? Teachers were mad if I got an extra whatever and they didn't. I mean, I don't want to.
So the thing is, they can opt in or out. If they opt in, that means they're opting into increased, observations and walkthroughs, and that they're also focused on, I mean, they got to really want to grow and be a really quality teacher. I mean, this is not something that, they just walk into and say, oh, if I get a good observation, I'm going to get $5,000 extra. It doesn't work that way. I mean, this is a real incentive for a teacher to grow and get better.
The really tough part is year 3. It's easy to collect data on core teachers. If I teach Algebra 1 versus year 3 of this program, if we implement it, how do you evaluate a PE teacher? And how do you equate with what a PE teacher does that's master level education for kids versus something that's happening in an Algebra 1 classroom where I can see that result reflected on a STAR test? That's your challenge. So when you get to year 3, it's going to take some really bright minds to come up with what equates that system to equality among all the staff. And there's other districts that have done it. I mean, we've got a neighbor down the road on Highway 80 that, matter of fact, they paid out a person in this community
$25,000.
That's close to $30,000. That's the only one I know. That's the only person I know.
They had another one in that same district that got $18,000.
So this, okay, it's obviously not the first year for it, but how many districts would you say in the state are doing it?
So the first year they did it, cohort A, I think they had about 30 districts that signed up. More and more districts they've got several hundred now. And we're in cohort D, so we'll be in the fourth cohort. And I don't know exactly how many there are, but the majority of districts in Texas will be doing it. They've got cohorts going on out to JK, LMNOP. But if you don't do it, you're going to put yourself at a competitive disadvantage, I think. So most districts are jumping on board. But I will say it was a big focus of our committee that it be equal. Equal for if you have a PE teacher versus an Algebra 1 teacher, what kind of growth criteria can you use for that PE teacher that would be as challenging, I guess you could say, as the Algebra 1 teacher? Those are things we're going to have to think about, just like Mr. Mize said, when we get to that point.
Who will determine the level, whether you're recognized or master?
So,
what was the
distinguished, recognized, distinguished, and master.
Who determines those levels?
So, there's a rubric,
Okay.
like for example, if the bar for student growth data is for recognized is 55% of your students meeting their growth goal. And then it goes up for distinguished and up for masters. In combination, their T-test data has to be on the far left side of the scale. I mean, a good, strong, they call them a rock star teacher under T-test is supposed to be in the proficient column, which is right in the middle. There are 2 columns to the left. You got to have most of your marks in the left 2 columns in order to be able to earn enough points to qualify. So it's not going to be easy.
Okay, you principals, there's a dissertation in this information somewhere, right? It's easy grab. All the information's there, Mr. Mize.
Yeah, and the big part of the job is going to be on the campus principals to collect this data. We have to calibrate regularly on the T-test observation data, which is going to be, and we have to recertify. So it's going to be a big deal that T-test observation data is accurate. Any more questions?
I have questions. I don't know what they are. I probably have more. It's like, whoa, it's a lot.
Well, if you think it's a lot, and the application itself is a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm about 3/4 through it. still trying to work out some details, but we will let y'all look over that application, and you can kind of see exactly in detail what the plan looks like. And we'll be posting it. We're required to post. We have a page on the district website, which we haven't done yet, but we'll have a TIA page that'll have access to all of the documents.
I'm not want to limit the opportunity for someone to opt in.
Right.
But, and we'll just have to determine as we see that happening if it's something that our teachers were really interested in.
Yeah, they overwhelmingly wanted to do it. We've done several surveys with them already. But we'll see how many opt in. There's an actual form that they sign at the beginning of the school year to opt in or opt out. So it's their
Everybody
choice.
has to sign that whether they go one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. And if they opt in, there's a little short application that goes with it. Just gathering some information. Anyway.
All right, principal, you're in the long haul, 3 years.
More to come.
Assistant principal too. I know, I keep looking over here like every time David says, now there's more work, and there's more work on the principals, and it's like, okay, it's your turn to speak up here. Feel like we have an assistant principal for discipline, we have an assistant principal for curriculum, now we have an assistant principal for teacher, whatever, teacher incentive. Okay. Thanks, David. Well, Mr. Afraid to call for the motion? I'll make the motion. I'm going to make the motion to. Oh, it's not. It's a review.
Yeah, just
it's under action, isn't it? No, it is. Oh, because of the we have to approve the funding. Okay. All right. Well, then, what are y'all going to do it no matter what we say? You have to get our permission.
Not if you don't advocate it.
Dad says no, you're just going to ask Mom. All right. Go for it. Whew. Scary. Okay. Interlocal agreement between Wood County and Mineola ISD. Oh, wow. Where'd that come from? Yes. Is there a motion to approve that? Mr. Gossett, seconded by Mrs. Roddick. All those in favor? Thanks. You still there?
Joy, you there?
I'm here. I stood in favor.
Okay, thanks. Discuss, review, and consider action on COVID-19 protocols concerning face masks.
Mr. President, members of the board, for the least controversial item on the agenda tonight, face mask protocol. I know there's been a lot of discussion around that topic. We've seen that from the national level all the way down. Everybody in here, we asked their opinion on what you think about a face covering. Everybody in here is probably all over the map in regards to that. One of the things that we've seen since COVID has started is after student holidays, student breaks, when students return, there has been a surge in case count. Thankfully, today we had 0 kids tested for COVID, and so that was a great sign, but who knows what may happen over the next couple of weeks. And my recommendation that was submitted on Friday evening before spring break was to continue all of our COVID-19 protocols for the next 2 weeks, and on Monday, March the 29th, if case counts remain low, that we make that optional for all of our district staff and students in the district. And so I think we're at a point where things are looking very positive. It gives our teachers an opportunity that if they want the vaccine, they can get the vaccine. Also, it allows I know our seniors in our community have been provided opportunities. I know that the county had set up a vaccine clinic through the National Guard at the Civic Center this past week. And so all of those folks that want a vaccine should have an opportunity to receive a vaccine. So it puts us in a good position in the community. And that is my recommendation concerning face mask coverings moving forward here in the district.
Is there a recommendation concerning the face mask recommendation, Mr. McGowan?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Watkins. All those in favor? Thanks. Consider approval of claiming missed instructional days Tuesday, February 16th and Wednesday, February 17th due to bad weather.
Mr. President, members of the board, we had an opportunity through the week of, I believe they called it Winter Storm Erna. I believe that was the name of it. There was a name that was actually given to the winter storm. But the state of Texas came in and TEA allowed for missed instructional days due to this bad weather. And so we used days that were banked in our calendar for those first couple of days, the 16th and 17th. And then if you remember, we instructed kids virtually on the 18th and 19th to finish out that week so that we could actually count those days. This allows us to go back to count the days that we used, that we had banked minutes on. We can actually count them according to TA. We can count them as bad weather days. And so that will restore 2 days in our calendar that we can have banked in case something else comes up and we need a couple of days to burn. We've got those minutes restored in our calendar.
Is there a motion to accept that recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Roddick, seconded by Mrs. Campbell. All those in favor? Thanks.
In favor.
Thank you. Okay. Discuss, review, and consider action on Schneider Electric proposal for HVAC control on the Fine Arts project.
And Mr. President, members of the board, this is the last item that I know we talked about this a couple of months ago, and I appreciate Miranda and Jeff both being on Zoom tonight with us to answer any questions that you may have concerning this setup. One of the items that we had proposed in talking about the HVAC system at the high school was when we put in the new band hall facility, the new fine arts classroom, that there would be thermostats that would be installed there, and there would be a software system that we would be able to manage those thermostats through an electronic method. Currently, that's what we have set up at our other campuses. Right now at the high school, we do not have that in place. And so the options that we have, and is this attached? Is there an attachment to this, Jennifer? There's not. There's a $20,000 option that would cover the software side of things. So this would not replace any of the thermostats in the building. I believe the $80,000 project that we looked at, that incorporated a lot of the thermostats and the software system in itself. The $20,000 package would just be the software system in itself. So we can control all of our existing softwares, all existing thermostats through an updated software system that Schneider would provide for us. And so wanted to bring you some options on that. We can do that. We don't have to do any of it, but just wanted to present that for you. It does give us the opportunity. We go with that $20,000 project. It does give us the opportunity, even though we're not replacing thermostats, it gives us that opportunity to control that HVAC system through an electronic means, working on a calendar, which is a big advantage versus what we're doing right now.
Because there are two 20,000, so the 23 580, 560, and the 26 201.
Jeff, Miranda, do y'all want to explain the differences there? I don't have that document in front of me, but.
Yes, sir. The initial price, the one that says base price, that's $23,560, is the price to integrate the main building at the high school into the front-end computer system. So that was the part that you were referencing right there. The second price, which I'm scrolling down to it right now, I think it's 26
201.
Yeah, 26,201 is the price for the renovation of the band hall and the fine arts area that's going on currently.
And Jeff, on the 26th, that's the update of the thermostats. That's new thermostats in those areas and everything, right?
Yes, sir. That would be removing the controls that are currently on the existing systems and updating it as part of the construction process with brand new thermostats, controls, new wiring, all that kind of thing in the band hall area.
So what's the 72?
Sir?
What's the 72?
72,000, Jeff, on the quote.
That is all of the field device hardware that's in the main building at the high school.
That's the whole high school.
That's right.
So
yeah.
That's bringing the.
So the 23 is the base for the band hall. The 26 is what now?
26 would be base for all the new. That'd be new thermostats, controlled system, and our new fine arts in the current band hall, and the new classroom space that we're creating. And then the base, 23,000, that would be the control of the software on all the buildings in the high school right now.
But not the new part.
Jeff, would that include the new part, or is the 26 separate for just the new part?
To get the main building at the high school and the band hall, you would stack the base price of $23,560 and the $26,201. That would include all the band hall renovation stuff, as well as the software, the front end, and the integration of the existing field controllers in the high school into that.
So, I don't know what to ask. I mean, if the 23
does all your current high school with the software.
But that wouldn't include what our new.
Not the new.
So we have to do that.
The band hall project would do new thermostats, software system can control all those spaces and those units that are online.
So what we're deciding is we have to go the base price. We have to do that. And then we have to either add 26 to that or 72 to that. Whoa.
So was the 23 in the original bid that we received?
No, we had them break it out. We had them break that piece out. So so you got three different, you could choose, you could just say, hey, listen, we want to do something. You could say, we just want to do the new construction area and put that online. New thermostats, software system that controls that. That's one separate thing to itself. Or you could say, we want to do just the high school and have that controlled through the software system. And then the final option's the new hardware thermostats in the existing high school.
Right.
But the basic bid didn't include any of that. That's what you're saying.
So that's what
No,
I'm
it was
saying.
all part of, yeah.
When Cheryl came in, that was part of it, was the 23,560.
Yeah, and I think the total cost on it. Jeff, do y'all remember the numbers on that total cost last time? Because it was way up there.
Right. But what I'm asking was that in the original, when they came and presented to us, was that 23,560 included in that price, or are we having to add more money to it?
Jeff, can y'all hear that? Did you hear that question?
I believe if I understand it correctly, the price that was presented last time that they needed that they asked for additional clarification on, were all three of these prices included in that proposal? Is that accurate?
Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Yes.
So we've already established the 23,560.
But that's a decision if you want to do that.
So that was not in the.
So it wasn't in the
original bid.
We don't do
I think what the deal
anything.
was, we had it, that we were given money to do the band hall fine arts project. But when it was given to us, then they added on, you can do your whole high school as well. And then we got confused because if we're just doing band hall, why are we talking about doing the whole high school? And what was the price breakdown to do high school versus just band hall?
Yeah, but what I'm hearing is that we have to, no matter which one we pick, whether we pick the 26,201 or the 72, we still have to add the 23,500 to that. And I thought that was already a given.
Jeff, on the 72, tell me if I'm wrong, but that would add new thermostats into the high school, the existing high school area, correct? That's where that additional
Correct.
cost is coming from. It's actual thermostat itself. That's adding new thermostats all throughout your high school.
Do we have many complaints in the high school about the current thermostats?
I don't hear a lot. Mike, do you hear complaints on the thermostats in the high school?
I mean, is it a moot point if you're not getting complaints on the thermostats to worry about putting new ones in? I mean, you know, I'm of the age where I would be complaining if I were hot in my classroom, but there's not all teachers like that.
But if we have to stack, if we have to stack the 26 to the 23, we're already at 50,000.
Yeah, you're at 47,000.
Yeah,
So I would just say, I mean,
I say leave it.
that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I want them to have air, but I mean, I really don't want to go spend 72,000 on a 60-year-old building for a new thermostat.
And is it able to, at some other point, if we decide we do want to come back and do it, is it the same price, or will the price change?
I bet it goes up.
Jeff or Andy, do y'all want to respond to that?
Would the price for what change? I could only hear parts and pieces of the conversation. I apologize.
So if we don't elect to add the new thermostats in the high school currently, and we decide in 6 months or a year that, oh, now we do want those, is the price about the same as it is right now?
There would be some hardware increases, but that would probably be the extent of the price increase.
How does William and our budget feel about these prices and what we're able to do right now?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's what we want, yeah, I think we're all confused about that. Is the original 23,560 in the original bid? Check.
In the original bid that was presented at the last meeting,
No, like the original, when
Of the
when
1.8
we
million.
accepted the bid.
Of the 1.8 million, is 23,560 in that original price? Or are we adding to that?
No, that wouldn't be in the original price. No. The 23,560 for the high school? No.
So that was not in the 1.8?
That is not in a, this is a total separate deal.
So was
20
there any-
23,560 is total
was there any
different.
air conditioning upgrades in the original proposal?
It would only be for the existing setup
For
that we
the-
have,
the original
for
band
what's
hall that
being
we're
built.
building?
For what's being built. That's right.
Okay. Then- So we've already covered that cost. This is just an upgrade to that.
This automates the system and then has thermostat. I don't know, we'd have to go back and look and see if that would be included in the original cost of the construction, because you're gonna have to have thermostats. And you're gonna have, I mean, you would more than likely have some kind of control system.
It had to be included in the original design.
Yeah.
And then the original quote. So this is just an upgrade of the system. Put on software.
So even the 23 would be an upgrade?
23 would just do your high school building, your current high school setup.
So we have to have the band hall. Right?
If you want a controlled system. If you don't want to control, if you just want to push it, you can change your thermostat. Or do you want to have a controlled system online?
He can control it how he wants to.
Help us, Mr. Brandon.
Just to be able to push the button, say it's 65 degrees. So it's easier for you to control that than somebody on a computer. Right, as long as you can have control of it, that's right, right. So the question is, are you going to have control of it? That's the $1 million question. Right. And have a lock on it and walk away if somebody can mess with it other than you.
So it sounds to me, and then from what Mr. Brown just said, that what we're considering, the main consideration is the new band hall extension, the 26-201.
I think if he feels like he needs the new system or the upgraded system to the new building, we should get what he needs for the new building because it's new.
Right, that's
And if
where
it's
the,
a better system, then that's what we need to go for the new system.
Honestly, I think just me, I'm gonna table this, and I want to go back to Cheryl and just ask what was in the current bid.
If that was
Of the
included, if that was
1.8
included in the
million that we
original
approved
price.
Back in October, what in that as far as AC systems? And then come back to us next meeting and tell us exactly what we're getting and what we're gonna spend this money. Because I mean, I'm old school, had the little dial thing that you can use your phone, I hated that. You just push the button and let's go. So, to me, I would table for next month, and I would like somebody to tell us what we're getting out of that here.
But will that put them back on construction if this is something that has to be done?
They hadn't started
You
pouring
know, there's a
concrete yet.
timeline
Yeah,
that
no,
has to be
that's
finished
gonna be a
before
while.
something else can be finished, before the next thing can be finished. I mean, is that gonna push them off their schedule?
Yeah, they hadn't laid the foundation yet, so I think we still got some time to play with. But that's coming pretty quick. It's coming pretty quick. Dirt work's pretty much done, so they're getting close.
You're still a couple months. for
Yeah,
air
yeah,
conditioners.
yeah, sure.
Summertime.
the recommendation has been made to table the discussion or the approval of the amount for the HVAC for the new building and possibly going into the old building. Is there any discussion on that? Got to have a motion. Motion to table?
I make table.
Motion. Motion
So
by Mr.
let me just ask, if there's a need to move it up, we can call a special call meeting.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have to. I mean, there's no concrete there. I mean, there's no.
Okay.
Yeah, we got some time.
The motion by Mr. McGow to table this, seconded by Mrs. Roddick. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Thanks. We'll get you air conditioning.
I want the air conditioning.
We want you to have air conditioning.
I just want to know why that
We
wasn't
just
in the
wanna know how
original.
much
I
it's
just
gonna
want to know
cost
why that wasn't in the original price.
Yeah, every time I read it, I thought, this 23's got to be in the original price, but then I kept thinking, no, it wasn't. All right. The purposes for which this meeting was called being completed, I declare the meeting adjourned.
Good to see you, Jeff.